5 people, so if you don't mind, well, I guess we have 2 minutes still, so, yeah.
Okay. We'll give them till 2:30, and then if not, if we don't have a quorum, we'll just skip the meeting minutes.
Okay.
All right, Kim, I got 2:30, so it didn't sound like we had a quorum, correct?
No, I don't think we do, but I did have 1 or 2 other people join, so just to run through, I have Bill Malone, Sheriff Day, Tracy Murdoch with FirstNet, Chief Krapp, John Nacarado, Paula Creasy, you, Chief Cade, and who else has joined?
Carl Stevens.
Oh, thanks, Carl. All right, and then anyone else? So Brian might join, but I can act as his proxy, so if we get 1 more, we'll have a quorum, but we can go ahead and start.
Okay, so we'll hopefully get 1 more since we're a couple of meeting minutes behind already, but in that case, why don't we go ahead and just start with the FirstNet update, Kim?
Sure. So Ed, can you display that?
This one.
Yeah. So we're displaying on the screen actually an update from CEO Mike Post with FirstNet that was just provided today. We were told informally by Tracy last week that FirstNet would not be making an award announcement on November 1st as they originally anticipated, and they don't believe there would be an announcement when our staff goes to the SPOC meeting the week before Thanksgiving. So Tracy, would you mind if I put you on the spot just to kind of give a brief update to that?
Yes, Kim, that was well said. As you know, that the procurement regulations, the federal acquisition regulation is very strict when making procurement, particularly of this size. And we always knew that it was very ambitious and aggressive timeframe to make. And so in adhering to the strict guidelines that we are required to, it has been a slow process. All of the feedback that we're hearing is that it's going well. It's just taking a longer time to be as diligent as they can. We really want to get this right. So this is what Kim has on the screen there is the blog that just posted today. And I don't have any special insight, but there will not be a partner announced on November 1st.
Is there an I told you so button that we can push?
No, but like I said, we're just a little more optimistic, but we'll get it.
So that being said, what Tracy cannot say, because she can't publicly acknowledge anybody who's bid, and I don't know if she even knows, but as you all know, there were 3 publicly acknowledged bidders, and one of them, Pacific Data Vision, advised last week that they received notice from FirstNet that they were no longer being considered. So if there are only 2 bidders left, and there are only 2 publicly acknowledged bidders to date, that would leave Rivada, Mercury, and AT&T, just as information for all of you. So, and then I'm going to divert quickly, and Chief, let you know that Commissioner Chandler Henry's on the phone, so we could do the minutes.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, let's back up to the minutes then. So, since the commissioner just joined us, that gives us a quorum. So we have both the audit. So we both have the August and September meeting minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review them? And would anybody like to make a motion to approve them?
This is Paula. I'm
Approve.
and Paula will second.
Awesome. So they're moved and seconded. All in
Who
favor of
moved?
approving?
Sorry, I caught Paul. I didn't catch who moved initially.
Carl.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So now they're moved, seconded, confirmed by Kim. So all in favor of approving the minutes? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Same sign. All right. Minutes are finally approved. Now we can move on to some really good stuff. Do you want to cover
All
the
right.
PEIS meeting?
Yes, and I actually wanted to give you all just a quick update. As I've been sending you information through the month, wanted you to note, if you didn't already, that both Arizona and Alabama have alternative plan RFPs on the street, and they have both publicly advised that they will delay the closing of their RFP until about 2 weeks after FirstNet makes its partner award, because they received feedback from various organizations that they were likely not to get a response while FirstNet is still deliberating. So their RFPs we're taking a look at as we construct and work on our RFP process as well. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. Yeah, so on the PEIS, I just wanted to let you all know that that meeting occurred on the 20th. We were actually the only state that I'm aware of that had somebody walk in off of the street due to the notice in the newspaper, surprisingly. It was an electronic engineer, retired, who was curious about hearing about the network. We were able to talk a bit with Eli Vienendahl, and he gave us some more insight as to just the whole process, and we discussed more about whether FirstNet, and they have not made a decision, would or would not be able to make the PEIS applicable to opt-out states. So that decision is still pending. And then another piece of information he shared with us is he thought that even if a state opted not to take any of the NTIA grant money, because this is a federally connected program, we would still be required to step through all of the NEPA and EHP stuff. So we will continue to talk with them and investigate that as we head down that alternative planning road. Chief, if it's okay with you, I'll just continue down the list.
Yep.
Okay. So the state assumed RAN planning update, Ed, if you can display the FCC document. The most important piece that I want to spend a little bit of time with all of you on today is the comments that were made with the support of Ken Feldman and Brandon Dittman, who are now acting as our SAAGs. And those comments were provided to all of you. If you look, oh, I must have attached the wrong version. Okay. If you scroll down to, Ed, could you scroll, is there an introduction? No, that's an old version, I think. All right, we're not, my apologies, we're not displaying the right version, but we're going to be summarizing some key points. I will go over the key points we're summarizing. We said that the FCC should take a position that a state alternative, that having a state alternative plan and releasing the RFP satisfies the 180-day deadline required by the Spectrum Act. And I apologize, someone, we can hear them talking. Can you tell and mute that? By chance?
Sit there, scratch
Did we lose everyone?
We're still on, but I don't,
Okay.
Kim, we can't hear you if you could hear us.
Yeah, I don't hear Kim or Ed no more, or that radio traffic either.
Yes, Kathy, I'm still here over in Eagle, but I don't hear anybody.
Yeah, I think I'm still on the phone. Paula, you're still there. Kathy? Who else is still on the phone?
Carl,
Still here.
Carl?
Mark's still here.
Randy?
Bill Malone.
Bill's still there? Okay.
I'm still here. Chad.
This is Craig with
My-
Cisco. I just joined.
Okay. So it
Hey,
sounds like
Chris,
you
Still
want-
on the line.
My apologies, we dropped off, yes. So to continue, we discussed in the comments about how the FCC should interpret the 180-day deadline and that a contract doesn't necessarily need to be awarded. We talked about that the state should be held to the same standard that FirstNet has established regarding the timing for the award for a contract pursuant to the RFP, specifically that FirstNet has had considerable amount of time, much more than any state or territory would be given, even depending on how that 180-day timeline is interpreted by the FCC. We talk about the FCC's process being expeditious, clear, and focused on the technical aspects of the state alternative plan, and that the state should have the ability to supplement and amend its initial submission to the FCC. Especially in that vein, we actually comment that the FCC should come up with some sort of template or clear expectations, clearly set expectations that that way the state is not submitting a document that doesn't meet the FCC's requirements and then is potentially told they don't meet the requirements because there are no expectations. And, it's kind of a little bit of a situation where the right hand and the left hand don't know what each other want. So we talk about that. And then we talk about that the overall focus of the plan should be to allow a state to exercise their right to implement the state-specific RAN as long as they meet the basic provisions outlined by the Spectrum Act. So that's a lot of details about a 20-page document, but certainly feel free to look through there and let us know if you have any questions. There were about 19 other submissions to the FCC, 8 states and 1 locality in a state. There were a number of private citizens, a couple of carriers, including Rivada. FirstNet themselves responded, APCO, NASCIO as well. FirstNet's comments, as I'm sure many of you would be surprised, actually they take a different perspective than Colorado does, and I haven't had a chance to look at some of the other states. But some of the things that they discuss are that they don't want anybody to be able to provide the opt-out notification except for the governor. They believe the statute clearly states that versus allowing the designee like the SPOC to make that opt-out notification, not the decision, the notification. They state that they want the plan to be as robust as the FirstNet state plan and comply with all of the policies. However, in the FCC original notice, there is the proposal that the policies would not be made available to the states until the state plan is provided to the states. And we've commented that that is way too late. At a minimum, it needs to be 90 days before any state plan is delivered to a state. Again, that short timeline really ties the hands of the state to give them even the minimal chance at having the opportunity to opt out if they have the means and the belief that that's in the best interest of the state. They don't want any ability to have the public comment on the plan, which Colorado, we've said if the public can't comment, that's fine, but if the public can comment, then we need to have the ability to have a state be able to amend their plan. One thing that's of particular interest is that the FirstNet comments say that they believe a full contract should be in place within that 180-day time period. And we believe that that timeline, again, is too short and unfair, and we comment to the contrary. And I think it's interesting because based on what FirstNet has said with not being able to meet the original award date, they mentioned procurements can be challenging. Another item they commented on is that the FCC proposes a 90-day shot clock from the time that a state provides its plan to the FCC, and FirstNet says they only think 60 days should be allowed, which again might impact the ability to fairly review a plan. As mentioned, they are not in support of plan amendments, They do agree with us on one item where they don't want a third-party review. They believe, or we believe states should be able to self-certify their plans if they are approved by the FCC.
Right, you'll be perfect time to go pick your kids up, right?
Again, that's a kind of a quick dump. We'll put some of that in writing for all of you. We do have the opportunity to comment back on by November 21st on any of the items that have been posted by other states or responders, and so we will be discussing that with Ken and Leanne and Aaron next week to make that determination. So again, I apologize for kind of stepping through that quickly, but does anybody have any questions on that response?
I've got some people muted too.
Okay, then I'm going to continue down the line, and we are in support of just understanding a little bit more about data usage as an update. I'm going to ask Sarah to give a quick update on the wireless data survey that we're going to be putting out. So can everybody hear me okay?
Not really.
Well, first, somebody's got their mute on.
Yeah. Let's mute our phones, everyone.
Me. Yeah.
There we go.
Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. So we're in the final stages of compiling the survey for wireless and wired data. At this point, we are compiling the list of individuals that we have relationships with that we'll be reaching out to for the initial
Position gets the rest of roll in the rolling order.
Got muted.
He wasn't. Okay.
So if you're interested in stepping through this data with us to help us understand some of the costs that are associated with your wireless and wired data, both within your facilities as well as with your smart devices, please let Kim, Ed, or I know, because we would love the opportunity to step through this individually with people and actually sort of take a look at your bills, understand where the costs go. We will be hopefully stepping through that process with people coming up in the near future. There will be some surveys that will push out to people that are farther away than we can get to. But we're looking for all the support that we can get from you guys around this. So if you can think of anybody who would be useful or who you'd like to give us that information for, let us know.
Thanks, Sarah. Quickly on the working groups, we've had meetings at the business plan and technical working groups in the past month. They continue to work on the state plan document, state plan list of questions that we either want answered within the state plan or perhaps the FirstNet can answer sooner than the state plan. I know Tracy is anxiously awaiting that information. We're just trying to flesh out a few more areas. We've also looked at some of the methodologies that states like Kansas and California have come up with, and we hope to come up with something to bring to this group in the next month or two to have you consider and look at to determine if there are any other things we are missing. And then the last piece is the project update. Randy, if I can put you on the spot to give a quick update on the financial and network modeling. Randy,
I'm sorry. Here we go. Sorry that I was muted.
Okay.
Tell me
if
you can hear me okay. I changed my audio input device since our working group meeting earlier today.
Yes, it's much clearer.
Sounds good.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, so just a kind of a quick update. We're doing two things. One is we're going through the site verification process. So, we did 7 studies with InfoVista looking at different permutations and came up with what we viewed as an ideal solution. And we're now going through the much more, complex process of checking each of the inputs to be comfortable that that they're real and we've got them correct. So we have each of the commercial tower companies reviewing their sites, and this is Crown Castle, American, Tri-State, SBA, and AT&T, and most of them are complete. A few are not. We've basically gone through, and actually Kim and kind of the team within OIT has gone through all the DTR sites, and we did things like we eliminated passive sites, for instance, because they wouldn't have power, and we did review if there are things that were just disqualified because they were had structural problems that weren't going to be fixed or other things. So we basically gone through that exercise, and then we're also have gone through a review of historical landmarks and making sure that we're not impacting them. So we're probably within a fairly short window, a few weeks of being able to put this all together and rerun it. And then that'll give us another radio system model view similar to what we've seen before, but where we remove things that are uncertain. And we've also, as an example, taken forest sites because we believe there are big environmental impact issues there, and we'll probably remove them from this design as well. And then the other, just the other kind of quick discussion too is we're preparing to do financial analysis of the the overall effort, and when we do that, we'll have a lot of interesting analytics and scenarios. And one of the big moving questions there is what could we reasonably assume in terms of sort of non-first responder demand in rural areas. And so we haven't started. We've done a lot of the groundwork for that, but we haven't actually started doing the analysis itself.
Thanks, Randy. And Randy has been working on, as one of the deliverables, a review of his investigation of the public-private partnership options, as well as we consider a part of that the RFI responses. And the reason that we haven't provided some sort of summarization document to you yet is because he's continued to speak with a few of them as we've gained more information over the past few months. So hopefully that will be forthcoming shortly. It'll be a high-level summary. It won't give you any information on specific vendors. Rather, it'll cover the high-level topics of how we think others might be interested in approaching an alternative plan procurement. So, and then quickly an update just on that alternative plan. We met with OIT's procurement people and kind of have come up with what we think will be an approach to an opt-out RFP that we can bring back to you guys to get your blessing to move forward on, hopefully shortly, and that we may have secured some dollars outside of SWGP because clearly it's not allowable. That will allow us to have contractor support in some of that RFP process. So hopefully at the next meeting, we'll have a better update for all of you on that. And that's kind of my update, Chief.
All right, perfect. So you're up, Ed.
All right, I'm going to try and streamline it today. Just give you kind of an overview. We'll put the completed scheduled activities and outreach statistics in the minutes. With the advent of the announcement that we were supposed to get from FirstNet in November, I started planning another round of events starting in January, February, and March. We're going to continue to do that and just hope that we have some usable information by that time frame. But probably unlikely that in the wintertime we'll be able to re-engage every county. But we are going to at least, I started with the all hazard regions and some of the meetings like the comms meetings and the technical meetings. We're starting to hear from those folks, and then we are learning as we go around the state. There are some groups, like we were in a meeting the other day with the Harris Users Group, and they would like us to kind of saturate places like Lakewood in the West Metro area. So we're making inroads into that. I actually met with the the city manager's planner, and they're going to get us in the agenda and get us in front of some of their folks. So we'll keep you updated on that, and by our next meeting, we should have a lot of dates for you to take a look at and see when we'll be back in your area, or when we're in those areas where some of your stakeholders we need to engage. We did start up again in the summer. We just did an early and a late newsletter. There wasn't a whole lot of information to pass on, but we have gone back to at least for the time being monthly. We believe that we're going to need to probably do it monthly, just because we expect that there will be a lot of information between now and let's call it June of next year, and we'll need to update our folks. We also, this is kind of related, is that Sarah has been working on a website refresh for us, and there it is right there. Those of you who are looking, this is not the final, but she's got some mock-ups for us now, and she's got some really good ideas. We'll send this out so that you can take a look at it, and if you have any feedback, don't hesitate to send it to us and let us know. But encompassed in that website, we're looking now at trying to make, you can see the icon there, blogger, trying to make that work. We're not sure if that's going to happen, but we're trying to move more to a streamline of where you can get daily information for those who want, and they can see the blog. And then we'll just be using the newsletter in the future to take just snippets of what's already in the blog and put those in there so we can send folks to the blog. Other things that have happened, we had a good week last week. We merged with FirstNet Technical Headquarters. They sent out Joe Martinet and Mark Golashevsky, who are working on the FirstNet, for lack of a better term, the FirstNet ecosystem. We did 3 sessions at the Fire Leadership Challenge up in Keystone, and I thought those went really well. They were received really well by the fire stakeholders. We did a couple of sessions on emerging technologies with virtual reality and heads-up display, as well as emerging technologies as far as wearable devices, soft sensors, and that went well. And then we were also, we had the privilege of having Mike Worrell, who is the Senior Fire Advisor for FirstNet. He came out, and he and Brian did a session on the state of where FirstNet's at and where we're at with Colorado FirstNet. The online training module is almost finished. I know Kim, among other things, last week she was trying to finish up our last edits on that. We are right now we're getting, and it's probably done at this point, but we were informed that we had to have closed caption on the videos that we were going to put up on the site. So that is being done. We expect that we should have this project completed by our next meeting, and at least give you a launch date for that. Looks pretty good, and we're excited to let you have that. As far as the operational working group, that's what they did in this last month, was they helped me to look at the training, gave us some feedback, which we converted into our notes and used that to make the changes. As always, if you have any comments or questions or anything for me, please don't hesitate to reach out. And are there any questions at this point that I can answer before I turn it back? Hearing none, Chief Tate.
All right, so AdCom, I'm assuming we don't have an update on AdCom?
Bill, do you know anything? Sorry, I was just going to put Bill on the spot, if he's heard.
Oh.
No, really, I don't have anything that I could update you on.
All right. So, Kim, I guess you're going to be the legal issue updater.
Yeah, so really don't have anything to add. In the course of the FCC being our focus to that due date, Brandon and Ken, with who are SAEGs, will now be going back and doing that assessment of the legislation, the legal interpretations to date, other notices, and reviewing that within the context of the Colorado Constitution and all of our statutes. So that should be going on in the next month with the understanding that we'd like to see the results of that as soon as we can. I can move on to old business, Chief?
Sure.
Okay, so as Brian mentioned last time, the Legislative Task Force on 911 Oversight, Outage Reporting, and Reliability has met 3 times in the past 6 weeks, roughly. Their last meeting occurred yesterday, but the meeting that occurred 2 weeks ago, Brian provided a brief update on the FirstNet program, really kind of talking about the program at a high level, and not talking in great detail about any opt-out planning or anything like that. There are 3 of the members were actually term limited out, so they will not be in the legislature in the next year. But I know Brian's working closely with our legislative folks and the governor's office to determine the best time and manner to get in front of the legislature in the next calendar year, or in the next legislative cycle and into that calendar year. One thing I do want to comment on, that group will have an official report in the coming months, or I imagine, but one thing that seemed to be a common theme from those that were on that task force, and then many people who provided input to that task force, was to have them set up some sort of committee to determine to what degree the state should have some involvement in coordination, collaboration, and some people even use the term oversight of 911 as it relates potentially to outage reporting, as well as how it relates potentially to next-gen 911 and moving PSAPs across the state towards that technology, towards the ESI net. So that will be an interesting thing for us to watch, because there is, the need to obviously find out how NG 911 will be integrated into FirstNet connectivity. They're absolutely distinct and separate networks. However, one can't really kind of do what it wants without the other one, and vice versa. I always like to say 911, the PSAPs are the receivers, analyzers, and disseminators of the exact information that we want to go across FirstNet. So we will be watching that closely and keeping you all updated as those reports come out. And that's really the only old business item I have.
All righty. Does anybody have any new business? All right. So the only thing I have that's new would be that the FirstNet Innovation Testing Lab grand opening is on Wednesday, November 9th at 1:30 in Boulder. So if anybody wants to attend that, it's on Wednesday, November 9th at 1:30.
What is it, Chief?
Thanks, Chief. I will send it's the ribbon cutting for the FirstNet lab that they've created up there, and Tracy provided us a document that I will send out when I send out the recording links to this meeting. So you can RSVP if you'd like to attend.
Okay.
All right, so go ahead.
I was just going to say, if I can step through the dates, there's that date. We will be doing a regional meeting in coordination with FirstNet on November 9th, so unfortunately our team and Tracy won't be able to make that ribbon cutting. That will be at 12:30 p.m. We will be providing lunch if anybody is interested in traveling to Grand Junction. We will also be streaming it, so we'll provide you that link. Our staff will be at the SPOC meeting the 16th and 17th of November. We have arranged a coordinated meeting with FirstNet, including the tribal liaison assigned to our region and the Southern Ute Indian tribe. Kathy helped us arrange that with much of their tribal department leadership, and that'll be December 6th at 1:30 p.m. FirstNet is having a board meeting in Sacramento, and we will provide you the update of that meeting, and that's in mid-December.
All right. Anybody else have anything else that they wanted to bring up before we close out?
Hey, this is Chad. Just a simple, should be pretty easy question. Just give me, just as a reminder, what's the opt-out deadline? The opt-out decision deadline?
So once Colorado receives its state plan, which we anticipate sometime in 2017, we have, the governor has 90 days to make that decision and advise FirstNet.
So realistically, there's not a date set. It's just a matter of when the state plan shows up.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Which at this point is sometime next year.
Correct.
That's anticipated, but yeah. And Chad, just so you know, I believe in the RFP states that they're supposed to deliver the state plans approximately 6 months from date of award. That's an immediate task order once that contract is signed.
So realistically, we're not really even talking about having an opt-out deadline until the end of next year, probably. Is that accurate? Toward the end of the year, at least?
Well, 6 months from date of award could be as early as May if they were awarded in December.
And then we have 90 days after that.
Correct.
Okay, so it potentially could be 9 months into next year anyway. All right.
I think that's realistic.
I'm just curious.
Okay, anybody else have anything else? All right, hearing that. Next meeting?
Yep. The next meeting, we will be in Phoenix, so I'd like to propose that we maybe meet at 3 o'clock on December 1st. That would be after the PSCS meeting by phone. If that time doesn't work, even if we don't have a quorum, it will allow us to provide an update on the FirstNet meeting, or we could provide that update in writing, skip November, and just do December 15th, which is our next meeting for the standing December date.
I'm okay with the update and just go with our standing meeting for December. Anybody else feel differently on the board?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that unless there's something that we should discuss. An update would be fine. And it's likely that the PSCS won't have a December meeting if they approve the annual report week. I don't know if that makes any difference, but.
Yeah, I'm okay with the November update.
All righty.
Okay.
Not hearing any dissent, let's go ahead with that.
All right, so we'll do a quick December, make sure I understand. I could do a December 1st update by phone if people want to make it. It won't be a required meeting. Our required meeting would be December 15th. Otherwise, we'll provide it in writing.
I think just doing the written update would be adequate.
Okay, very good. Yep. We'll take it that approach then.
All righty. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you did not, or if you did not let me know you were on the line, please just shoot me an email. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
Thanks, see you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks.
Wow.